then you come over to Alabama, have a little bit of Alabama there on the Gulf. You come over to Mississippi and Louisiana, and then Texas. All of those people are in harm's way, one way or another. When we know the water is poisoned, just getting the water on your skin is not a smart thing to do. You can come down with a sickness. Just getting the water on your skin, having the wind blow it in your face. If those people have to evacuate, that means millions of people coming north with no support to speak of. That means the revenue of the states will go down, the manufacturing will stop, the people will leave, the houses will be deserted. If you can find police that will stay there to protect them, and I don't think you can, then your houses will be looted. The banks will go down because there'll be no payments on your businesses. There'll be no tax revenue going to the states from the people. The states will fold. You'll have Florida, Alabama, Mississippi, Louisiana, Texas in financial trouble because of that, depending on how far inland you go. And we suspect it'll be further inland than you ever would dream.
Griff, I'm surprised that the people of the Gulf states and basically everywhere across the U.S. haven't stood up and raised all kinds of heck about the way this is being handled. What do you think it's going to take to bring everybody together and march to the same drum as far as this oil leak goes? If this well cap doesn't work and it starts blowing out the sides, what do you think it's going to take before people actually stand up, get off their rear ends, and do something about it and let the government know and BP know how they actually feel?
Well, there's been a lot in history going back hundreds of years. You remember Tiananmen Square in China. What does it take for the people to stand in front of the tank? What does it take for the riot squads of the SWAT teams to come out and kill the people? That's what would happen, you see. So that's what's preventing the people from standing up against the government. The government is taking the labor of the people through the monetary system and then paying the police and the military to attack the people. So you have a bad situation there. Why didn't the people of Germany stand up to Adolf Hitler and his SS, his stormtroopers? They were afraid to. They'd been killed. The history is just filled with that. People are afraid to stand up against the government. The government has more guns than they do. But the Alta report, I will tell you, calls for assassinations. The Alta report predicts there will be a lot of people in government and elsewhere that will be taken out. So it does seem like it's building a little bit.
I find that tensions are certainly building for sure, but if and when an evacuation does go down, I just cannot see the country absorbing any sort of... I mean, we saw what happened with Hurricane Katrina. Just New Orleans put a tremendous strain on the infrastructure of many of the surrounding communities and states. So, and that was just New Orleans. Now, could you imagine the entire Gulf Coast? I mean, that would be an absolute incredible thing. And yeah, I think earlier you were talking about, the economies of these states are already strained well beyond their capacity to even recover from such a strain. And one of those is California. And California is the 7th largest economy in the world. In the world. If it was its own entity, it would be the 7th largest economy in the world. Yet it can't even pay its bills right now. So how can we expect that if this does go down like that, that we as a country are going to be able to make it through in one piece? I can't see it happening. And further, I would just like to say this too, Griff. If I was the governor of Louisiana right now, I would be screaming secession like you wouldn't believe, just because of the absolute mishandling of this whole ordeal. And the fact that you have citizens of your state and how much private property being destroyed because of of what's going down. And I think it was 4 times, he says, 4 times I submitted a plan to the Army Corps of Engineers, and 4 times it was rejected. Well, you know, your state is falling. It's coming, it's crashing and burning, and you're waiting on approval from the Army Corps of Engineers? Are you kidding me? You know? And that's the first thing that I would have done if I was the governor of the state, would say, look, we're going to do whatever it takes, and when the dust settles and everything's clear, we're going to send whoever's responsible the bill. And in the next thing, and I can probably foresee it, then Obama comes to the governor of the state of Louisiana and says, well, you know something, Governor, then what we're going to do is we're going to withhold all your federal funding because you're not cooperating with us. If it was me, then I would simply say, well, I'm no longer going to be the bag man for you for your federal taxes. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take those federal taxes that the employees of my state pay in, and I'm going to use them and run my state the way I need to. Thank you very much for your time. And the other thing too is I would kick BP the hell out of there. You know, I wouldn't give them the time of day. And if I had to, I would get another oil company in there or somebody with a little more expertise to be able to do it. Because in the private sector, folks, what you do if people can't handle the job is you fire them. And you get somebody in there that can.
I have a question for you, Joe.
By all means.
Do you remember Karen Silkwood?
No, I don't. Karen
Silkwood was a union girl, worked for Kerr McGee in the Midwest in the atomic reactor radioactive operation with Kerr McGee, and she was a thorn in their side, and she had evidence against Kerr McGee. Mm-hmm. Well, she had a car wreck one night, killed her, and that's what would happen to the governor.
Oh, I'm sure it would, but I mean, at what point in time do you say to yourself, you know what, I just can't take it anymore? And me being responsible for the people in my state, and maybe this is just, you know, the military mentality, but when you're responsible for people, if you're the captain of the ship, and in this case you're the captain of the good ship Louisiana, you're going to do whatever you have to do to ensure the safety of your crew or the safety of the citizens of your state. And if that means you have to make the tough decision and put your own personal safety at risk in order to do so, then so be it. Then so be it. At least that's how I feel. Is that I take the chance.
You would do it. You would do it, and I would do it. But these folks in politics would not do that. They would risk their own lives and their families, and they would be afraid to do that.
That's right.
Yeah.
And it makes you wonder who are they really? What's their real agenda? I guess you could say.
To bring the country down.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I honestly think that Governor Jindal down in Louisiana is an establishment candidate or an establishment politician that's going to toe the party line no matter what, and in this case, he's doing that. And when I say party line, folks, I don't mean Democrat or Republican because they're all one party, so they all toe the same line. And we are looking at a good indicator of just where the country stands. I mean, take a look at Arizona. You know, you got Arizona being bullied left and right by states like California, by the president. They're getting sued by our own government just because they want to enforce immigration laws because the government's not doing it, and they're getting sued for it. Yeah, today 9 states came to Arizona's defense to support them in this case. 9 states that agree. So let me just tell you, there are a ton of states and a ton of people that agree with this, yet our runaway government is doing what it wants to do. It's ignoring the will of the people, and it's causing a bunch of strife and paying this for this lawsuit with our tax dollars. And you have to wonder, again, how much are people going to take before they finally say, I'm not going to take it anymore?